From downtown Manhattan, I'm Mark Golub on a Shalom TV exclusive. We're at Avodah, the Jewish Service Corps, their gala that is going to introduce a new fellowship program. We want to show you what Avodah is all about, some of the young people who participate in it, and then bring you highlights of the actual program tonight. I hope you enjoy it.
So what brings us here tonight? Poverty is a fact of life, a devastatingly yet seemingly inevitable part of this country's landscape. So much so that it's easy to become numb to the suffering we see around us. So what to do? Do we simply say to one another, the magnitude of the problem is just too great? As Jews, as citizens, and as human beings, committed to working for the rights of others, we must not allow the poorest among us to be ignored or written off. We know that we have a role to play in fighting for an end to poverty in this country. And that is what all of us here, as members of the Avodah community, believe, and what our core members and alumni do every single day here in New York City, throughout the country, and throughout the world.
At this extraordinary event for Avodah, I'm standing here with the Executive Director, Marilyn Sneiderman. By the way, how long have you been doing this?
About 2.5 years I've been
Mazel tov to you.
Thank you. What Avodah, the Jewish Service Corps, is all about is these extraordinary young people who are totally focused on fighting poverty in different cities around the United States through a Jewish lens. They work on issues around education, homelessness, poverty, healthcare. They work for a year full-time. They live together.
Where?
We have one house, one bayit in Brooklyn and one in Washington Heights. They study together, they learn together, they build a wonderful community together, and then they became lifelong leaders of social justice.
This is fabulous.
Tonight we come together because we share a common purpose: to end poverty in America. We recognize that this is not an easy task, nor one that will be completed anytime soon. But Judaism reminds us that it is our duty to soldier on in the fight. As it says in Deuteronomy, justice, justice, you shall pursue. Thanks to your support for Avodah, young Jewish leaders in New York, Chicago, New Orleans, and Washington, D.C. have a way to live out this ancient call to action. 15 years ago, 9 Jewish young adults comprised the first ever cohort of Avodah. For 12 months, they lived together in a bayit, or house, in Brooklyn, worked full-time at local anti-poverty organizations in low-income communities, and learned how Jewish life could inform their approach to addressing poverty while sustaining them over the long haul. Now, 15 years later, many of those from the original cohort are still engaged in this important work, a testimony to Avodah's ability to identify and nurture leaders committed to a lifetime of leadership.
10 months ago, we proudly became part of Avodah's 15th cohort, 74 core members strong across our 4 sites, including 24 here in New York. Like core members before us, we heard about Avodah through friends, alumni, synagogues, and our university's hills and career centers.
We came from cities across the country and grew up in homes across the Jewish spectrum.
We all share a passion to live out the value of Tikkun Olam.
One of the things you said that was so important is that you're trying to get young people involved, but from a Jewish perspective. What's your own Jewish background?
So my own Jewish background is I grew up in Erie, Pennsylvania, which is not a hub of Jewish life. And my entire life has been focused on fighting poverty, and it's always been, in the essence of it, is doing it through a Jewish lens. It's always been at the root of why I do what I do. So to now have young people also doing this is so inspiring to me. You have to meet some of the young people. They're the ones who can tell the story the best.
Exactly.
I got involved with Avodah because I knew that I wanted to do anti-poverty work right after college. And I was placed at an organization called Neighbors Together for 1 year. Neighbors Together is a soup kitchen and a social service center in Brownsville, Brooklyn. And I fell in love with the organization that year, and I actually now direct Neighbors Together almost 10 years later. So Avodah was a really critical, has played a really critical role in my history.
It was 2010, 2011. We lived in Brooklyn and worked in Manhattan, both of us.
What did you do, Julie?
I worked as a Medicare beneficiary advocate at Medicare Rights Center.
It was definitely one of the best years of my life, I would have to say. Primarily because of the people that were in the program with me. I made a lot of great friends who I'm all still friends with. And also I learned a lot. And I still draw from that experience in my life every single day.
What I know for sure is that my coworkers and the clients of the agency have been supportive in helping me find my own place in this tradition. And it's comforting to know that the initiatives that I brought to GMHC will be continued by the next Avodah Fellow.
Tonight, we honor two extraordinary leaders in our community who exemplify what it means to be partners in justice, Richard Mandel and Flora Endelman Margolis.
Avodah means work, as in work by a servant for a master. My name is Richard Mandel, in case you hadn't heard. I'm 71 years old, and for the past decade, I have been the oldest servant on Avodah's board of directors. Our board members have term limits, and now I have reached mine. And I'm grateful for this moment to reflect on my service. It is the story of a well-seasoned Jewish man who serves on the Avodah board of directors because within his heart of hearts, he yearns for young men and women to live and serve within a supportive community, and that they enjoy the kind of generative experiences integrating social justice service with Jewish traditions and values. This venerable man wishes he had experienced much earlier in his life. It is a story of longings vicariously fulfilled. This is the story for which I am most grateful, and I thank the Avodah community for helping me write it.
My experience in Avodah's one-year program allowed me to develop my work-life skills and build my confidence. It also provided a network and a community that I, a newcomer to New York, could be a part of onto this day. After Avodah, I was quickly given more opportunities to grow within my placement agency, Project Renewal. I found myself only a few years out of Avodah, running a housing program for homeless men and providing substance abuse counseling. The men I worked with had often spent many years living on the streets, abusing a variety of substances, from alcohol to crack cocaine to heroin. They had very little trust in other people, and many had traumatic childhoods that continued to haunt them. I don't know if I would have survived in this field if I had not had the support from my years spent in Avodah. The stories of my clients would sometimes break me down, and I would have to continue to build myself back up. The Avodah experience helped me to find faith in the work that I do and the courage to keep doing it. Avodah gave me these opportunities, along with the skills and confidence to get there. I came to Avodah with the strong grounding of my Jewish identity from my family and years spent in young Judea. But I did not know how this would translate into my own life and family. In Avodah, my 7 housemates and I created our own Jewish home in our Kensington, Brooklyn house. We celebrated Shabbat every week and the holidays throughout the year. Because we all came with our own family traditions and observances, what we created was an eclectic combination of all these forms of observance. I learned to live with people who are both more and less observant than I was, and to work at finding common ground. The experience I had in Avodah has helped me to create my own Jewish home with my husband and daughter. This has continued to give me the ability to question and make changes about our own Jewish home life. I've learned that nothing is set in stone, and there's always room for change and questioning and learning new ways to create new traditions. As a part of the Avodah Alumni Network, I feel that I'm part of a community that understands the importance of these two aspects of my life, Judaism and social justice, and how they blend together. 10 years have passed since I did the year-long program, but the bonds that I have with the alumni continue to grow. I will always feel grateful for the opportunities that Avodah has given to me and privileged to be a part of it. Thank you.
Teach for a moment for me. What does the Jewish tradition to you say and mean when it talks about the Jewish responsibility to be engaged beyond the particular Jewish issue?
From the beginning of time, from the beginning of the Torah, and in juxtaposition to all of the text around the Jewish people, the Torah always talked about the stranger and treating the poor and the stranger and the widow and the orphan with the gleanings of the field, with a special tax for the poor. It said love them because you were once a stranger yourself in Egypt, and from the beginning of time we've never been allowed to forget it. And when we do, we forget who we are. So it's not something that got invented in the 20th century by progressives or liberals.
That's correct.
It actually started a long time ago. And I have studied, to be honest, Mark, as you asked, I have studied the text, the ongoing text of the communities around, the Sumerians, the Egyptians, all of those texts, the Ugaritic texts. None of them talk about the stranger. The stranger meaning the non-Jew that was poor, the way we do. And so it comes from where we started, and it stays to where we are.
Avodah core members often choose Avodah over secular service programs because they yearn for Jewish learning and community. And in fact, our recent alumni survey said that 85% of alumni told us that Avodah helped them find their place in the Jewish community.
How in any way do you feel there was a Jewish overlay to the actual Avodah experience?
Well, the obvious answer is you're doing it with a bunch of Jews. But I suppose the better answer is that we learned about the relationship between what we were doing and the foundational Jewish texts, Torah and Talmud.
The programs that we had, the guest speakers who came and spoke about Jewish values and how they tie into the social justice work that we were all doing was very meaningful. And the living component, all of us came from very different backgrounds in relation to Judaism. To learn about each other, to learn more about ourselves and what Jewish values really resonated with us, it was very meaningful.
We are rising to the challenge to be on the front lines of our nation's most pressing issues. We are organizing town hall forums, teaching job skills, and helping students become the first in their family to attend college. As core members, we have the privilege to work at leading organizations addressing homelessness, hunger, healthcare, education, and equal rights. The statistics that you read about in the paper, the stories reported on the news, are the stories of the individuals we work with and help each day. Over the past year, through actions large and small, long-term and short-term, we are making a difference.
All of our core members this year have made a huge difference, one client and one community at a time.
And after a challenging day, it's comforting to return to the Bayit and be surrounded by friends who give us the spirit, courage, and support to continue our work. Over Shabbat dinners and during community nights, we reflect, share stories, and find comfort in knowing that we are not alone in this fight.
Together, our unity of purpose, passion, and commitment will allow us to realize the goal of ending poverty in America.
Avodah is created for young people to learn the best of what we are as a people, to learn that Jews aren't Jews for real if they're not taking care of the poor in the world around them. This is a gift to our people.
Throughout their year of service, core members explore the causes and effects of poverty and their own identity as professionals, as adults, and as Jews. And we continue to invest in them as alumni to further develop their skills, offer leadership opportunities, and access to experts and mentors in the field.
In just a few months, we will complete our year with Avodah and join a network of nearly 600 Jewish leaders who are proudly identify themselves as Avodah alumni and who are continuing the fight against poverty as professionals and lay leaders.
My name is Emily Saltzman. I was the first Avodah Corps member placed at Gay Men's Health Crisis here in New York City. And it would be an understatement to say that being at GMHC started my career. Being there in 2008, 2009, being a part of Avodah really catapulted me to a place where I feel like I am today, being a social justice leader and a fierce organizer in this movement. How many of you could say that at age 28, you had a community of nearly 600 folks that you could call on to help enhance your work and do it more effectively through a framework that felt connected and dedicated to the work that you did?
So now let me ask you to imagine, what kind of impact could we have in the face of historic poverty rates if we decided that we would do more, that we would redouble our efforts? What kinds of difference could we make if we made it possible for hundreds more young Jewish adults to have the Avodah experience? How many more Jewish leaders could we prepare and nurture? And how many more lives could we change? So we have had this extraordinary model for Avodah of the house, the full-time work experience, and the learning, the Jewish learning. We're now going to be launching in January a non-residential model, a fellowship for people for young Jews who are working in fighting poverty day in and day out, who want to join a network, have a community of other young Jews to sort through issues that they're having on the job. How do they sustain themselves? How do they avoid burnout and effectively help fight poverty in this country?
The Avodah Fellowship, an intensive non-residential program, will launch in New York City in January 2014. This program will be available to early career professionals, 1 to 3 years out of college or graduate school, who are working in the anti-poverty field. The Avodah Fellows will come together for seminars and retreats designed from the same curriculum that have proven effective for Corps members over the years. Fellows will study Jewish tradition and thought with regard to social justice issues, explore the root causes of poverty, and discuss ways in which Jewish life can inform and bring meaning to their daily work. They will strengthen their professional and leadership skills and connect with mentors and experts in the fields as they explore career options and address professional challenges. And once they complete the program, fellows will be welcomed and fully integrated into the alumni network, where we will continue to nurture their development. By giving more young leaders the opportunity to learn, share ideas, and connect with one another, we will deepen our community's involvement and we will change more lives.
Together, we're building a vibrant generation of Jewish leaders committed to eradicating poverty in the United States.
A unique Jewish presence on the American scene, yes? Avodah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's no one else doing it.
We would be pleased to send a complimentary DVD of this program to anyone who wishes to support Shalom TV with a tax-deductible gift of $36, double high or more, to the nonprofit organization Jewish Education in Media. Simply visit the Shalom TV website homepage and click on the Donate button to make a donation by PayPal or your credit card. And please indicate the program for which you would like a DVD. Or you can send your tax-deductible check made out to GEM. To GEM, Post Office Box 180, Riverdale Station, Bronx, New York, 10471. And again, please remember to indicate which program you would like to receive on DVD with our compliments. And we thank you for your kind support.